Okay, we are live. Good evening, everyone, and
Good
welcome
evening.
to the Gwinnett NAACP General Meeting for May 2023. Okay, let's open up with prayer. If we can open up with prayer, and if everyone would mute your mic, please, if you would go to mute. And if Dewey, Representative McClain, if you could give us our opening prayer, we would appreciate it.
Thank you, Madam President. I wasn't going to mute my mic. I thought for a second I was. We can all bow our heads. Dear Heavenly Lord, I want you to thank us for this day. I would like to say that we need to bless the leadership that we have in NAACP. We need to bless the leadership that we have in the county. And what we ask for you, Lord, is to make sure that you give us the wisdom to make good decisions for the people of Gwinnett County and the state of Georgia. And all these things we ask in your name. In Jesus
Amen.
Christ. Amen.
Amen. Thank you for that. Again, welcome. We are live. We will be taping this event, and it will be posted to our website and our other outlets. We want to greet you all from the beloved community where we are seeking to eliminate poverty, militarism, and institutional racism. Your Gwinnett NAACP has been at work. Before we move on into our agenda, please let's accept the minutes from our general business meeting from April 11th, 2023. And let me say that again. We're here to accept the minutes from our April 23rd, April 11th, 2023 business meeting. Can I get a motion from the floor, please? Can I get a motion from the floor, please, to accept the minutes of our meeting from April 11th, 2023?
Aye.
I make a motion for.
Okay, Staten, go ahead, please.
Was that a motion, or you want us to make a motion?
Please make the motion for us.
Madam
Thank
Chair,
you.
that we approve the minute.
I make a motion to accept the meeting minutes from our meeting on April 11th, 2023.
And it's okay. Can we get a second?
I second that motion.
Okay, it's been approved and seconded.
I third that motion.
And if you can please mute your mic for us. Someone is in the background. Okay, thank you. So it's been moved and seconded that we accept the minutes from the meeting of April 11th, 2023. All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
And those opposed? The ayes have it. The meeting minutes for April have been accepted for 2023. Next on the agenda is to accept our budget that was submitted by our treasurer at our executive committee meeting in April that meeting was held this past May. Can I get a motion from the floor to accept the budget that was submitted by our treasurer for our May executive committee meeting?
I'd like to make a motion that we approve the budget from the May meeting.
Can I get a second?
I second that motion.
Okay, it's been moved and seconded. All those in favor of accepting the budget for our May executive committee meeting, say aye.
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 Okay, the ayes have it. Are there any opposed? All right. Now, anyone requesting to see the budget can send an email to secretary@naacp.gwinnett.org. That's secretary@naacp.gwinnett.org. And we will be happy to send that out to our members to review our budget. Great. Moving along. We have guests tonight. There's so much happening in our county, in the state of Georgia, and in our nation. but we want to make sure we get to target bills that are coming through that have passed and will be signed into law on July 1st. But before we get there, we want to make sure that we um, update you with events that are coming. We want to do this early and then again in the end. We want to make sure that everyone sees the Gwinnett NAACP Juneteenth in Norcross. That's Juneteenth in Norcross. That'll be June 17th on Saturday. And then on Sunday, we will have a banquet gospel event at Hopewell Baptist Church in Norcross on the 18th. Flyers are out there. It will be on our social media platform. We want to make sure that everybody knows about our Juneteenth 2023, partnering with the city of Norcross in downtown Norcross on Saturday, September 17th. And on Sunday, the 18th, we will be at Hopewell Baptist Church having a banquet, giving out awards, and having gospel music as we just lift up our African American community, commending them for the things and the hard work that they have been doing all year. Okay, so what we're going to do is step back because we want to be very timely and introduce our guest for this evening. We have with us our own state senator from Snellville, and they can give their district and the cities and areas that they represent. We have State Representative Nikki Merritt, and we have Representative Dewey McClain. Come on, y'all, let's make them feel welcome tonight. How are you guys doing this evening?
Doing well, doing well. Looking forward to the conversation today.
And you, Representative McClain, how are you? Can you unmute?
I
You've been
think
doing it at the Capitol.
Frozen.
Have you unmuted?
I'm unmuted, but you all are streaming, and you all be streaming, and then you all come back. So I don't know if this is a good platform or not, because I see you all, then all three of y'all go away. So, but can you all hear me now?
Yes, we hear you very clearly.
I'm looking forward to helping the folks of Gwinnett realize what we've been doing and what we are not afraid to do.
Okay, there has been so much that has been happening. So we're going to start with you, Representative McClain, since you are our the leader of the Gwinnett contingency for Gwinnett County in the state capital of Georgia. We will give you this floor right now. Please let us know, what do we need to know about the coming July 1st date, as well as how the Gwinnett group looks and how you guys have been trying to move legislation through the Capitol.
Well, thank you very much, Madam President. I can only say that, yes, I'm the chair of the House delegation, but I also have my colleague on the other side who's the chair of the Senate delegation. There are 30 of us in the House, 9 senators, 21 House members. And I would like to say that the local legislation that we kind of worked on this year for Gwinnett, one was more so I'd say a city legislation, and that was in the city of Suwanee. The city of Suwanee wanted to annex some areas of the county that was unincorporated Suwanee. And, and what I want to say is that I felt that this year, in a long time, we had an opportunity to work together and to talk. And there was no opposition from the county for the city of Suwanee to annex the parts they wanted. They talked about it. That's one. There were 3 other local bills that came out of the House. HB 777 was one that, we felt that as a delegation, and we felt a long time that the chair salary in Gwinnett County, the second largest county, is really dismal. And so what we did was we put in.
Okay, I don't know if you could hear me, but you are frozen. Representative McClain, you are frozen.
I can pick up
To
kind of
increase that.
Merritt,
But
you're gonna have to start over because you were frozen there at the homestead exemption.
okay. So yeah, you all started buffering again. I guess when you all start buffering, that's when I realized that I'm losing you all. The homestead exemption bill was something that we thought of the school system. I guess we won't call it tax relief in almost 30 years. So we moved that from 4,000 to 8,000.
Okay, let's do this. We will let him.
So coming out of the.
Okay, Representative McClain, I'm not sure if you can hear me.
I can hear you all, and once you all start buffering, it's like I know you all not hearing me because I'm not seeing you all and I'm not hearing you all. So I don't know if my colleague Senator Merritt may need to do this since it's kind of like breaking pieces, but she knows all about the three pieces of legislation as far as the one that the homestead exemption that we put in, because she pushed them through the Senate to get them over the line.
Yeah, that's correct. And you went over one, Representative McClain. So I'm Senator Nikki Merritt. I represent the 9th District that covers Grayson, Lawrenceville, and Lilburn. I lost most of Snellville, but I still have a tiny bit, but most of Snellville now belongs to Senator Leader Butler. So just to kind of pick up where McClain, the homestead exemption, of course, went from 4,000 to 8,000, Gwinnett County. That was SB 711. I'm sorry, HB 711. We had HB 748 that provides an additional 2,000 exemption for teachers, hospital staff, and armed force members. That was the second one. And then the other one was HB 777, and it was increasing the compensation for the chairperson of the Board of Commissioners. And it's going to bring that compensation to the level, and that's of the minimum salary of our sheriff right now. Right now, that position is not even making as much as our sheriff is. And for someone representing an entire county and being in line with our other counties of equal size, that is a fair increase of salary. And again, it's for the chairperson, whomever that chairperson is. I have to stress that is not for one particular person. It is for the chairperson's seat. We do have a bill that we have to, it's a Population Act bill that has to get passed, and we just weren't able to get it through, but that has to pass before particular bill HB 777 actually goes into effect. So hopefully we can get that Population Act bill overturned or just voted, get rid of it. It's outdated. It's not necessary. Basically, it put a cap on salaries for counties that had over 800,000 people, and that, our counties are huge. So it just makes no sense to have it. I don't know why that was even there. So that has to be overturned first. And then the HB 777 will go into effect. So those are the local bills that we saw this session. The other thing I want to talk about this session, it just, overreaching themes that we saw, because we have a lot of bills, and just for time's sake and to make this as easy as possible, I'm going to kind of go over what some of the bigger highlights this session was. I still feel like, we didn't get a lot done to me that was really impactful to our communities. Some legislation that I'm hearing my constituents that they would like to see, as we're talking about, affordable housing, gun legislation, anything that, serves the community and public. I really wanted to see more bills like that. But we did have some themes of trying to expand access to healthcare. And that there were several bills that we worked on to improve access to healthcare through insurance network coverage and expanding access to mental health care providers. Some of those bills got through, and some, I think the mental health bill actually didn't make it through the Senate. Make it through on sine die. Just got hung up. We had foster care reform. There are several gaps and problems in our foster care system that we need to examine and change, including the practice of hoteling. We saw these tough on crime bills. And, they were focused on crime and gangs. Nothing was focused on gun sense legislation or decreasing the amount of guns that are getting in people's hands that shouldn't have them. We could do so much more in that area. If we really wanted to address gun legislation, we could. A few things we could have done. We could have required background checks. Could have passed a bill to do that. We could have a bill for new waiting periods and more red flag laws limiting firearms, again, for those struggling with mental illness and anyone who shouldn't have a gun. So we didn't see anything like that, but we did see these tough on crime bills. They look like they're doing something. One bill in particular, I was against most of them because some of them had mandatory minimums. I do not like mandatory minimums because all they're doing is adding more penalties to people of color and putting us in jail longer. And it does not solve the underlying cause of the crime or violence. And sometimes it can inadvertently hurt maybe victims, I would say, who are in gangs. They may be in gangs for survival reasons. We just never know. Or into trafficking themselves for survival reasons or lack of knowledge reasons. There's a lot of reasons. And I just don't think at the state level, we're not dealing with the root cause of these issues. We're just slapping Band-Aids on it and saying, hey, we're tough on crime. And again, the problem is guns and us not giving social support.
So Senator Merritt, can I stop you a moment?
Yeah, sure.
Because I hear there was just so much. I know you talked about the Homestead Exemption Act.
Sorry. I started getting all off into the legislation.
No, we'll back up and we'll come forward. Well, let's go. Let's do this. You talked about the gun bill last. Let's start with that. Were there any efforts to reform the Stand Your Ground? Because Georgia is noted for being one of those states that has used this law to be racist against minority and African American people, marginalized people. Were there any discussions there? What does that look like for bringing it to the floor?
Madam President, you will, in this climate that we have at the House, with the Republicans being in charge, there's legislation there, but will it ever get a hearing? No, it will not. I think that's what you have to look at. And I want to say that my senator, she was going on, but you think about the other bill, the DAs, getting rid of, putting the oversight commission on the DAs, someone that's duly elected, that bothers me. Also when you tell them that the county election commission can't, $200 is all that they can take from anybody to do an election for 1 million people. That bothers me. I tell you that we got Medicaid unwinding, and we're talking about we're going to have our own, how we're going to say it, our own healthcare line, and then the lady who's over the Department of Health and Services and the commission, she's resigning. So I should say resigning. She's leaving. So all I'm saying is there were more pressing issues along with gun control and things of that nature. But they, instead of leading, they didn't do anything. They're too hypocritical for me.
Now, who's they? Who's they?
The Republicans. I'm sorry. The Republicans are too hypocritical for me. When you can say that a duly elected DA has been duly elected by the people to do their work, and you can put an oversight commission over them to remove them if you think. And now, who you think going to appoint those commission people? It's not going to be you or I or the people that elected the DA. You know, I have some concerns about that. I have some concerns. So when I say that, the governor signed it. These are all Republican bills. These are not Democratic bills whatsoever.
So
And that oversight.
Go ahead. I'm sorry. Go ahead. Go ahead.
I was just going to say the oversight commission that Representative McClain is speaking of. We did speak out about that, and we asked them, can we get a commission that is more bipartisan? Because right now that commission is all partisan, all Republican. All the seats on that commission that now are going to have oversight over our prosecutors are all Republicans. That is a problem. We tried to ask for an amendment to get maybe some minority representation on that. They wouldn't do it.
So is something that you're saying this, we're talking about so much, but what I have been seeing here in Gwinnett is the fact, and not just Gwinnett, DeKalb, Cobb, Fulton, Clayton, all of these counties are electing African-American Black people who look like the people that live there. And then what we have been seeing, that power is gradually and slowly being taken away because of the majority who has been elected at the local level. Just an example of this is just what happened to our local Board of Education. We went from a partisan to a nonpartisan board because it was easier to elect people when they did not have a party affiliated with them, so that people could represent ideas or, act like they are a certain type of person. So there are now, what are you doing? We talked about the Band-Aids. It sounds like we need local strategy. What type of strategy can we look for in 2024? Because we know where the majority is. How can we get like-minded people who want to stand up for African American and Black rights and issues that directly affect our community, especially when we're talking about equity and disparities? What strategy can we see for 2024?
Well, I'll just say this: we need to start electing more Democrats. We need to start. I mean, I'm sorry. You're at least, when I say Democrats, I mean someone that thinks like we think, that thinks gun control is. I mean, gun control. We need to have common sense gun control legislation. We should think about people that. You should not have a population bill, and I'm just going to go on, a population bill when we already have said in the state of Georgia, you cannot have any legislation that dealt with population. And when you sit up here and say that a county election officer can only accept $200, I could see you accepting $200 in a county of 25 people. But in a county of 1 million, $200 is nothing for you to help run an election. So all I'm saying is we have to start electing people that has common sense. And I'm through.
Okay, well, let me push back a little on that.
Okay.
Because we've been electing people, but at this local level, we're not getting we're not seeing the fruits of our labor. We had, and I'm giving this as an example, not particularly the state level, but showing that people are elected, but still not keeping those promises and coming through with the legislation that is needed. For example, right here in Gwinnett County, when we had we're talking about equity and DEI here at the local level, that was pushed back on. Our school system will not be doing DEI for the local area. So you know what our school board looks like. Our board of commissioners, um, we voted to get budgets for more polling places. We voted to get those booths, those places have not been identified yet. We voted for that, and the budget is there. We voted to get we voted to get a disparity study. That's not being done. So there's the money there for it. But when we ask these questions, when we say, what is happening? Why don't we have these things? These people who are elected look like us and said they were going to do things. This is one of the things that has been hampering our Black community. We're getting all these promises, but we're not getting people to deliver. What can we do about getting people to deliver? Because your response was, we need to elect more Democrats, but people are not delivering. What do we do?
Okay, let me speak on that in a minute, Representative McClain. Okay, understand something, that we have different bodies of government.
Exactly.
I can tell you at the state level, those things that you're talking about, there are bills for all of that. We can't move them at the state level because we don't have the numbers. So as Representative McClain is saying, we got to elect more Democrats. I'm just speaking about just state right now. At the state level, to even address some of those initiatives that you're talking about that are more local, we have some bills we could deal with at the state level and kind of override local. We can't get that through. You don't have the numbers. And what's important is, yeah, we're electing more Democrats and more people that look like us in like Gwinnett and in the metro area. You know where we need to flip seats? Below us, outside this metro area, because a lot of the legislation that's coming through is coming from those senators and House members that are outside of the metro area, and they're getting the legislation through. And again, we don't have the numbers. So that's what's happening at the state. We have to elect more Democrats outside of the metro area. That's the first thing. The second thing, what you're talking about, we're talking about our board and our board of ed and our board of commissioners. Okay, I understand they're not moving some things and some agendas that would help Black people, or in maybe some things that you're mentioning. We can't control them. Like at the state level, we can't control them, but what we can do is try to have conversations with them as a delegation, maybe, and maybe Dewey can talk about that. We can just come to the table with them. We just had a meeting with the Board of Ed and say, hey, this is what our constituents are saying that they're wanting. What's happening here? How can we support you in moving this? Or can you give us answers as to why we're not moving it? Because I'm with you. Our power in Gwinnett is in our local, is not in our state. So we do have to rely on our board of commissioners and our board of ed. And I do stress that with them all the time. Like, y'all are our power, because we won't have it in the state. So we're here to support you in what you need.
Now, let me be very clear. We do understand jurisdictionally that there are cities, that there are counties, and the state. And we understand these different levels of participation. However, everybody should be working collectively. So I know that at what happens in the State House and how those bills get passed, but people down at the ground, people at the local level feel so disenfranchised. Even though you people operate at the state level, there's got to be a consensus when you're talking about like-minded people. And what we're hearing, that there is not a consensus for like-minded people to pass through these bills. If the like-minded people would speak out, because people are not speaking out. We need you elected officials to speak out. We need you to lift your voice, even though that may not be your territory. You still represent those areas. We need to have open forums. When we're talking to people, people are saying that they don't want to vote. They don't want to vote for Uncle Joe. They don't want to vote for any of the commissioners because they didn't do minimally what they said. They don't want to vote or don't even understand what's going on with our education when we can have children in middle school at Louise Radloff beating an African American child and calling them a slave, and nobody elected official speaks out. That's a problem. We went to the Board of Education, and Dr. Watts still has not responded. So again, we're very, very clear on the lines of where each person works. But I think what needs to happen, we need a louder voice. We need those who we have entrusted with our ballot to speak up on things that are happening. Because again, I don't know what 2024 is going to look like. From what I am hearing, the disgruntledness from the voters, when we're out there asking people to vote, they say why. They say why.
I think that's where you all need to step in, because you need to educate them. Because why? When someone say why, I would say why not? Because again, you want Trump. I mean, if you want Trump, if you want to go backwards, all I'm saying is you should never ever want to go backwards. I've always said this, and what I've always tried to believe in is I heard that, and I'm still waiting on some information from the Louise Radloff School, because I always believe in life. I believe there are two sides. I mean, there's one story on one side, there's another story on another side, and then there is the true story. I mean, and I can't tell you the true story because I was not there. And I don't know if you can tell me the true story.
No, I can't.
You were not there. So what I'm trying to do is because I want to make sure that I get it right. And I want us to get it right. But when you've got, but we can still have that conversation. If there was Alvin Wilbanks, been knowing him for 40 years, Alvin would not give you the time of day. At least I know Superintendent Watts will at least return my phone call and give me 4 or 5 minutes.
He will meet anytime I ask. He will meet with me.
It's not about meeting.
But do you understand what I'm saying? I am saying that we have went from not being in charge to being in charge, and now what we've got to try to do is make sure we can learn how to govern and learn how to communicate and move those lines. Because again, those things were happening way before he got there. They just didn't start happening yesterday. I tell everybody my 47-year-old daughter rode the bus when she was in 2nd grade, and I had to explain to her exactly what was going on. And that was 40 years ago. So all I'm saying to you is we have to work through these, but it's better to work with somebody that will work with you other than somebody that would turn their back on you.
Well, I have, as the president of the NAACP, sent a written request to Dr. Watts, and he has not answered any of my questions regarding the Radloff situations, as well as others. So at this point, what I'm trying to say, and this is not to put anybody on the spot, what this is about is, if this were someone with a swastika in that classroom, beating, calling someone names or using that swastika, the JDL would have been outraged, and it would have been all over the news, and it would have been covered. Had this been an Asian child who someone made fun of or made racial slurs and physically assaulted someone, it would have been on the news. But because this was an African-American child, no one is saying a word. So it's your voice. You guys are our trusted voices in this community. We need trusted voices to help speak up. I know about them not having the majority in the State House, but we need trusted elected officials to stand up with us. What happens is the NAACP a lot of times is the only one talking by ourselves because we cannot get others to stand with us, and not to call names, but to ask for investigations, to get the truth, to disseminate it in our community. So we're asking people to vote, and it's not about the alternative of what we want, but we need to say what we don't want and who we do want. And that way we can elect people that we want to put in these positions. You guys have been elected continuously. You guys are here talking with us. You guys do not stand away. So this is the kettle calling. You know, you guys are doing your part, showing up. We need everyone to get to do their part, because this is about being elected. This is about being accountable. And this is about when the situation and topic is not what you want to hear, standing up and speaking out against it. Does that make sense? Because that's why I'm saying right now.
I mean, everything is not going to be comfortable. You know, Dr. King said it. You know, it depends on where you stand in confident and convenient, but it's controversy where you stand. It's the controversy where you stand. And what I'm saying to you is that, you know, we have to make sure that we do the right thing for our children and our citizens in this county. And you know, and if we don't stand up for our children, then something is wrong. And I say this is that they need to see us stand up.
Yes.
And I think that one of the things that we've got to do is educate them to realize that you have rights. And that's why I say, you know, it's Democrats believe in civil rights. Democrats believe in human rights. Democrats believe in health rights. All I'm saying is there are things that we believe in that others do not believe in. And I think that what we can try to do is educate them a lot better. That's my only thing that I like to say is that it's a lot easier talking to someone that has walked in your shoes. So, other than Supreme Court Clarence Thomas, other than him.
So we are, of course, a 501c4 nonpartisan organization.
Yeah, everybody is.
And we are not allowed to call ourselves Democrat or Republican. However, we can talk about like-minded legislation, like-minded community goals, and talk about being accountable. And we do understand that the metro is locked down when it comes to getting out that vote and taking people over the top. But and because of those things, if we want to educate and inform people locally, they want to see people stand up, because the first question we get asked is, what is happening for us? We've got all these people elected at all these different levels, the city, the county, the state, but we still can't get the legislation. If we can hear your voices stronger, we need you guys to lead us. We're the advocate voice on this side, but we need you guys to say, no, we can't have children beating other children. No, we need to find out why the county commission is not letting this money go for this study, this disparity studies. Most of all, we need to find out why these monies that were given for polling places have not been done. So that county needs to be held accountable. And just like you hold them accountable, they'll hold you accountable. We've got to have people being accountable. And when people can understand and see things happening, then we can get that movement. But right now, people are.
And I just want to say something like, okay, let's be very clear. Your legislators are not activists. Let's be clear on that part. We're advocates. We can advocate for you. So the things that you're talking about, you want us to speak out. As Representative McClain was saying, we do have conversations, whether y'all are hearing it or not, when we hear these things. And then it is our job to track down what's the truth. I hear what my board's telling me, or I hear what my commissioner's telling me. I need to know, and I hear what you're saying. I need to know where in this is the truth and where in this is the hang up, Board of Commissioners. What's happening? Why haven't we done it? Can you explain it to me? Or our Board of Ed, what's happening? Because people are saying this. What's the truth? And where is this middle point? Either we're missing something or a bunch of people just sitting around not doing it. I don't know. But I can tell you at the state level, that means a conversation for us. It's not there. Neither of those things are our wheelhouse.
Right.
Neither of them are. So we have to bridge conversations with them. And if y'all are hearing these conversations, but they're happening. And some things have changed out of the silent conversation. Like we just, I'm asking some questions. I'm asking why we're not doing these things. Can you help me understand? So can do. Even if y'all won't hear us doing it, it could be happening. But we do have to be, from elected to elected, we have to be careful about how we even engage with each other. And we want to make sure, because we're trying to support each other in this space, all Black people, all the elected people. So let's figure out together where are these gaps, what's not happening. If my constituents are saying you're not listening, they're advocating for this, why is it not happening? And those are the type of conversations, Madam President, I'm always willing to have. So, I'm looking forward to having one about housing, like what's happening. Why are we doing anything? Because there's bonds that we could be tapping into, and we can't do it at the state level. So now I would like my commissioners to answer, like, I would like to know, how can I support you, or what's happening in that? So, well, I'm not disagreeing.
Believe it or not, that same question was put to the Board of Commissioners. There was a meeting that was held regarding the Livesey property. And during that zoning meeting, there were many items that were tabled. And among those many items that were tabled, because of the length of the agenda, many of those items were bonds that are floated by the board, by the Development Authority, of which I am a member of, and also by the Housing Authority. So that's a conversation in itself. So, but what I want to say and point out is that we as advocates must speak up, but the Gwinnett NAACP has not been talking without facts. And that's, again, why we have not been talking, because we vet, we talk, we email, we document, we research. We do not just get out there and just accuse anything. We're asking questions now, where you as legislators are still accountable, because you have those thousands of people who live in District 9 and live in District 101. Whether they are getting help from you at the state level, or whether they may come to you and say, why are these things happening? Your role, as we know, is as legislative, writing laws that affect the people at the state level. We get that. But there is now such a disconnect with the people who are in at the local level, the people who are at the county level, the city levels, because of all these things that are happening, and they're not informed, they're not understanding. And because they don't understand, and because they are not seeing progress, people are shutting down. People are shutting down. People are turning off. People are tuning out. Our job is to educate and inform. But when we're just saying the same thing, that no, we can't get polling places, even though we have monies, that we don't know why children are beating other children because we can't get information, when we can say the stand your ground law was defeated. Then the next thing people are saying, what strategy are like-minded people going to be using for next year? So there's a conversation that
and we need to have it, Madam President. We need to have the conversation, and I think that's where we are having this conversation. Because again, we talk about things that there was a few years back. We were not in place. We were not in charge, and I'm sorry, we're trying to undo 198 years, almost 200 years of history in 2 years, 3 years. it just doesn't happen that way. What happens is, before you do things, you need to make sure you find out where things are. Because what I found out is that we're there, but are we really there? And I think what we've got to try to realize as elected officials is, as my Madam Chair has said, is we've got to communicate on the state level, because they need us, we need them, and we need all the constituents of Gwinnett County to get reelected. We need to energize you, the voters, to realize that if we don't vote, we don't count. If we don't vote, there will not be no changes. And we need to ask for those changes. We need to ask. But again, what we don't need though is to have it out of a water hose. We don't. That's the only thing. When I say that, I think if we could bring it in a cup and drink it and sip some of it, other than just whoa, I think it'd be a whole lot better. I mean, instead of all at once. Well, that makes sense.
What about the accountability piece? These people who said that they were interested in seeing our government change, our government be representative of the people who live here. What we have been seeing is, again, we know at the state level that the counties outside of the metro has been dominating, but here locally, we have a majority, and we still cannot get a reduced marijuana, a decriminalization of marijuana laws. We cannot get that. Again, I'm going to come back, keep beating it. The disparity studies. We can't. So if we can show wins locally and then hold those people accountable, not just them at this local level, but everybody at the state level. Again, we know your hands are tied because of the majority. But again, if the like-minded people do not come up with a strategy, we will be in the same place. So I'm hoping that there is a decisive strategy for 2024 that's going to answer to people outside of these 7-8 metro county areas. Now, we don't want you to give away
what you're talking about is a broader DEM strategy. That's a broader DEM strategy. You're talking from president to the state, to federal, down to the county.
No, we're talking state level.
Right. It's a broad, but it's a broader strategy. But yes, even at the local level, there should be some synergy and like-minded. And I will say this, there are like-minded people in this space. And as Representative McClain was saying, we're better than what we were. At least I got people I can pick up the phone and call and have a conversation with, versus some who are just going to ignore me because I belong to a certain party. We're not there. I at least can have a meeting with somebody, versus before they might not meet with me at all. So we're making progress. And as Representative McClain said, but we're having to undo administrations that are at the county level, city folk that have never left. So the even though we've elected all these Black people, understand something. These administrations, still Republican. Almost every city, still Republican. All of them. Those running the county, still the same people that's been running the county, even though we changed hands. So all I'm just stressing is there has to be some infrastructure work done, maybe some conversations there. I don't know, but I feel like we have made the surface change. Like, yeah, we elect all these Black folks, but underneath Gwinnett County, nothing. Same folks still there. They're still there.
So you hit the nail on the head, because I've been saying these things for years, but the people who are elected and the people who were put into place have that power to remove those people. Why are not they being removed?
They have power to do some things, but again, you don't come in and burn the house down. You know, as some
yes,
folks
you do, Dewey. I'm just kidding. I am joking. but no,
you don't come and burn the house down. Let me just say that I am proud that we have a Black fire chief. I am proud that we have a black
sheriff. Yeah.
a black sheriff. I am proud of a black DA. I am proud that we have a black chief of police in Gwinnett County. I mean, up until 1994, I was followed home. Yeah, I know where I live, and I was followed home up to 1994. So all I'm saying to you is I am glad to see some of these things in place. And they didn't happen, wait a minute, and they didn't just happen 10 years ago. These things have just happened in the past 2 years. So
yeah, 3 years, 2020.
Progress is slow. It is slow. I mean,
So, let me say this again.
Okay.
People are in position. Now people are going on their election, what they're going to do for getting elected. Well, from a lot of things that I have seen, and that accountability factor, we will be doing report cards. We will be going down the line and looking at all the elected officials from the city to the county to the Georgia State House, because accountability is the only way that we can correct this situation. So those people who were elected and that structure still in place and has not been removed, that's a problem. That is a problem. When you see Gwinnett County, even though they have these quasi offices now, and you still cannot find out who's in charge, that's a problem. And when they have these third-party organizations working not on behalf of your constituents, but on behalf of a third-party organization, that's a problem. So even though you guys are at the state level, there are so many issues that locally we need people to help us raise their voice. We need trusted elected officials to see things and say, because when we can get wins for the people who live here, because we are not talking about housing, local issue. We're not talking about education, local issue. We can talk about the specifics. Talking about health, even though the person is appointed at the state level, that director is at the local level with the counties, getting that information for the counties. So right now, on the surface, like you said, we have all of these people in place, but we don't have a plan to effectively and positively help African-American people in Gwinnett County. Moms, single moms with children are the #1 homeless in Gwinnett County. Children in the 3rd grade, African-American children in the 3rd grade are scoring less than, in English, less than children who are in ESOL classes. I'm going to say that again. Children who have English as a second language are scoring higher than African-American children in 3rd grade in Gwinnett County schools. When we're talking about gentrification, all these things, again, I know they're not gentrification of these cities. When we're talking about services, food deserts, all these things are still prevalent. I know, again, at the state level, you guys impact there, but your name locally carry weight. We appreciate the homestead exemption. I'm backing up. Give us some info on this homestead exemption act that was done and how it's increasing and helping our citizens.
It is a referendum, so therefore the citizens must vote for this. I mean, if the citizens do not vote for this
Increase?
this tax increase, homestead increase to go, it won't happen.
So it will be on the ballot when?
So it will be on the ballot in 2024.
Okay, so that's one of the things.
It'll take place in 2025. As you notice, the governor vetoed the Fulton County tax exemption because what they did not do, which is the right thing to do, is to allow the people who is going to affect to make that decision. And I think that what we did was we allowed the people that is going to affect, the voters of Gwinnett County, to make that decision.
I know the idea about floating these bonds because being on this development authority, I'm newly installed, newly attending, and millions of dollars was given to the project out there in Decula, Rowan. Millions. No one is accountable for that money. 20, as a matter of fact, a $25 million bond was floated at my first meeting because I did not have any information on it. I had to abstain. 25 million. At my last meeting, it was Great Atlanta Christian in Hebron. They were floated $1 million of bonds. I asked for those budgets, have not received them yet, but we have private Christian schools who have limitations on who can attend there, receiving millions, 10 millions of dollars of bonds from Gwinnett County being floated by them so that they can do what they need to do. This needs to be investigated. And right now, no one is being accountable. Again, you are responsible at the state level, but this
Okay.
local level, we
Can I
need
ask
all types of assistance.
Do
Yes,
we
ma'am.
have, I'm sorry, Madam President, do we have like documented um actual evidence that the bonds are being mishandled? Like, is that somewhere?
I didn't say it was mishandled because it was agreed upon. So the board, the development authority voted to
Okay.
lower their rate and give them a better interest rate because that has changed. And I was in that meeting. I'd be happy to send you all those documents
Okay.
to.
The only I was just only gonna say what they're doing is legal.
Of course it is.
The transactions they're doing are legal. Now I will agree. I agree with this. If they can give bonds to all these other places, Rowan, they can give bonds to housing. Now that I'm looking at them like, what are you doing? If we got all this money for bonds, let's give it to people to. Now that I will push on them about. Now if they want to give bonds for developments to make Gwinnett better, got it. Some of that transaction has already been done. We can't go back on that. Rowan owes this county money, and from their development, because we met with them, what they're having to do is pay that back to us, the people. This money that they have been given, they have to give this money back. So once they start building and they get their anchor or whatever, and they get their facility in, and that facility starts making money, they have to give that money back to Gwinnett. So they do owe that money, and they will be held accountable for giving that money back. So just know that that is in the agreement, and that is written.
So just to say, a lot of these, one of our development authority meetings that I was in, there people are being exposed to these opportunities. And that window is slim and none for the majority of people because they're being exposed through a narrow window. And even with the housing authority, the Gwinnett Housing Authority is giving these bond deals to their friends, to their families. There is nepotism involved in that Gwinnett Housing Authority board. There are people who wore more than one hat. A lot of this can be shown through any open records investigation. And not just them, I am concerned about the bonds, but again, if they can give bonds to private Christian schools, which have applications and entrance requirements, why can't they give bonds to communities who need affordable housing? There's a lot of questions right now that are not being answered. There's a lot of questions right now, and no one is being transparent. Supposedly, there is a 30% inclusion for the Rowan project for minority participation. They said that they're meeting that number, but who can access that information? Who can be a part of that information? Who is getting information on it? and a lot of that. There's so many questions. Let me tell you what's happening here right now in Gwinnett.
Wait,
Even when I'm not
I can only stay on for about one more minute. We've been on an hour.
okay.
We got one more minute, and then I have a hard stop. I have got to get off of here.
Well, let me do this.
Go
I
ahead.
wish I had have known. I'm going to stop. Are there any questions out there? We're from our audience. Is there any question from Facebook Live? Questions from YouTube? Please sound off now. But there are so many. I'm finding information, not even trying to look for it. Nothing is being hidden. Everything is legal according to the documents that are being drawn. This is about people knowing about it. These things being publicized, people knowing where these monies are going, who is collecting them, who is using them. Even something as minute as when the eminent domain was taking place with the Livesies, their value for their land was so much less than values for lands in Rowan. And as a licensed real estate agent in the state of Georgia for over 25 years, it was not apples and apples and oranges and oranges. So bottom line,
Madam President, we're gonna have to make sure that you understand that parkland and one land, but the $30,000 that Rowan paid for per acre, it was you and I know it was more than the Lipses received more than $30,000 per acre. But we're not gonna go there. What we're gonna go with, I know, but what I'm saying is what Rowan paid per acre is public knowledge, in which they paid $30,000 per acre. That's kind of what but it's worth a whole lot more now than it was. In fact, we had a meet with Rowan.
Got their money back.
Yes.
Okay, so
all I'm saying to you is let's do this. Let's have our strategy. Our strategy should be 1, 2, 3, 4, because I'm hearing a lot. I mean, and I want to make sure that we can walk it down. Other than, we have 15 things. I have to be able to check off this, check off that. We do have a town hall that's coming up on Thursday, May 18th at 6:00 over at GJAC. So
who's we?
There's a joint, what we call a joint delegation. It'll be joint House and joint Senate. Well, I shouldn't say joint. Should be the House and Senate delegation of Gwinnett will be at GJAC on Thursday, May 18th, starting at 6:00. So, I mean, if there are some things I think that, Madam Chair, if you want to add, please do. But I want you to know that we'll be there. And many of the elected state officials will be there at GJAC on Thursday, May 18th at 6:00.
Wonderful. And a lot of these things that I'm saying to you is not that I am just trying to go and find things to talk about. These things drop at my feet without me even trying to find them because of the places that I'm walking in. Because Commissioner Koo chose me to be on the Development Authority, because I attended Housing Authority meetings, because I go to the BORE, because I go to the BOE. So it's not me just saying, let me find something. It's out in the open for us to see. And what did they say? How do you hide stuff so that the people can't see it? They put it out in the plain open and print it. And it's all printed. The information is there to read, but no one is addressing all of this.
And I would just say this, just understand something. Us as state senators and legislators, what you're asking someone to go grab it and find it, that takes a staff to be able to do that. We don't have staff for that. We are suffocated at what we have as resources at the state. What that would require, honestly, and that's why we have lobby groups and advocacy groups, they bring that information to us. They do anytime they want us to advocate for something down there, they give us point by point, hey, this is what we're alleging, this is what we found, can you push this? They have done the work for us because they know we don't have the staff to do that. So I'm just saying we kind of need help in that. If there is a list of things that you have questions on, and I have evidence of this thing, and this is where you find it, and let me give it to you, and can you answer questions? We can do that. But for us individually, we can't. That's just, it's not realistic for our job. It's just not.
So,
we're part-time in this. We're not even full-time legislators. I'm just trying to have real talk.
so
But we can take information to advocacy groups like NAACP and any of them, and we take that and we say, hey, okay, got it. I can run with this in some way.
So now you see how we feel, because we're volunteers. We don't get paid for anything.
Right. I get it. We were just
our
talking
staff
about it. I
is even
understand.
less.
You don't have
But-
policy people.
No, we don't. We should, but we don't. But
We don't either. We do not have policy people, and it is a broken system designed to keep us in the dark, and it hurts us all because we can't get the information that even those that elected us need sometimes. We just, it's across the board.
So what we're looking at and what we're saying, we just need those, like you guys are elected, like you guys are trusted. We've got to hear more voices out there. We've got to hear more input out there. We've got to talk more to the people, because, and that's not just from you, that's from us also. Informing, update, engaging more, because all these things that I mentioned are just wide out in the open. And until we get that strategy, that decisive strategy on how, if we could just start or attack that one level, then we could start. How we're going to eat that elephant? One bite at a time. One bite at a time.
I agree.
And I appreciate that. And that's what I'm saying to you is that's what we need. I just need systematically, it's like, which is first? Is it Rowan? Is it the county commission? Is it the board of education? Is it the DA office? Is it the sheriff's office?
Take your pick.
Just give us what we can bite off and chew in small chunks.
All right, we won't choke you.
We have to have everybody doing these things.
Because we want the low hanging fruit first. Let's get some low hanging.
Give us the easy thing first.
Okay, so the easy thing would be, again, I'm going to do a shameful plug for our Juneteenth again. It's to support our Juneteenth so we can get monies to get these policy people to help us present all these things to you. So we have our banquet on Sunday, the 18th at Hopewell Baptist Church. Mm-hmm. Tickets are online at Evite. And on Saturday, we're still looking for vendors. We're looking for food trucks. Please come and help us get more people out there. We are in Norcross. We're in downtown Norcross, working with the city of Norcross. So help us raise some of this money so we can get this information professionally to you. And let's see if we can start attacking from the ground. And then we get all of these people engaged in your districts locally. We can get them coming down to that Capitol to know what they're talking about, to educate them, to lobby. We do lobby day. We've done lobby day. Gwinnett County NAACP has been doing lobby day. So we come down and support you guys also with the youth. So I know you have to leave, Senator Merritt. Can you give us a closing before you leave? We still have Representative McClain.
Yes, thank you for having me on, Madam President. You have made some very good points and things for me to think about and consider. And I just want to say, remember, we're all here trying to work together and do the best because we are trying to serve the people. That's why we're here. And it's just finding the best method to support each other. So thank you for having me on. As always, if anybody has questions or whatever, please feel free to reach out to me. But thank you for the conversation.
Please
and they can come and see on May 18th. They can come see a Thursday.
Yeah, they come to our town hall on May 18th.
They come to the town hall.
Please give us your email, your website, so we can get the citizens to come. Because when we post this, it's many more people are going to be watching this. So please give us your website.
Nikki, it's not on my website, mostly because no one goes there. But it's on all of my Facebook channels: Instagram, Facebook, Twitter. I have posted it there. We just sent out a press release letting everyone know, and I've also sent out a newsletter. So anyone is welcome to go to my website. Is Merritt 4ga.com and sign up for my newsletter. That's where I let everybody know almost everything that's going on, especially during legislative session. But I just encourage people to follow me on the socials. I know everybody is on there in some form. I post pretty frequently. So that's where you can find me. That's the best way to find me.
Wonderful, wonderful. And thank you again, Senator Merritt. We appreciate all of your time and your willingness to sit down and talk real and about the things that people want to hear about. Thank you so much.
Thank you
Thank
all.
you, Madam Chair. I'll see you tomorrow.
See you
Okay.
tomorrow for a different thing. I'm putting my email address in here too for anybody that might be looking for me.
Okay. Thank you. Representative McClain.
I'm one of those ones to say thanks very much for having this forum. 11 years ago when I was elected, I knew this day was coming, but you still got to prepare and you got to plan for it. And I say that to say that we have changed Gwinnett County for the people that looks more like us than it was before. And so what I like to say is that we have to continue that. And what we've got to do is make sure that we can uplift each other. And if we don't do that, we're only going to bring each other down. So my hope and prayer is that instead of people asking why, you should say why not, because that's a whole lot more than why. Because again, that's the reason that little black kids are being incarcerated. They don't want you to vote. They want black people to march up and down the streets and around the buildings because they don't want you to vote. But if you would, and that's why they make it so hard for black people to vote, because they don't want you to vote. When I say they, I mean Republicans don't want you to vote because Republicans know that blacks vote democratically at 95 to almost 99%. So therefore, the more that they can get blacks not to participate in the voting process, the more likely they feel that they can win. Republicans can win, and we've got to show our young people that that's not what it's about. And you vote for your ancestors. You vote for your grandmama. You vote for your great grandmama who could not vote. They could not vote. They wanted to vote. You wanted to have some say so in what was going on in the world, but you don't. We've got Medicaid unwinding and no one is saying nothing about it. We got gun violence going on and we're not saying very much about it. And all we're saying is, all what the Republicans are saying is, oh, well, I'm very sorry to hear that. My condolences to you and your family. And I want to thank the first responders and the police for being on time and capturing everybody. But you still ain't said anything about what you're going to do about what's been killing these people. So all I'm saying is we've got to call people out and quit being hypocrites. And I have no problem in calling people out, because when Republicans have been hypocritical, which they are, I think they've been asleep at the wheel, and we've got to wake people up. They have failed us. The Republican Party has failed us. And now they're trying to turn our own people against us. And we've got to show our people that we got to stick together. So I want to say thank you very much. I can go on and on because I feel that we need this. In Gwinnett County, again, like I said, up until 1994, I was followed home and the police force did not look like me. The fire department did not look like me. It did, right now, more and more of Gwinnett looks like the people of Gwinnett.
Okay. Thank you so much. At this point, we just want to and I'm trying to give different looks here. It's one that will allow more people to come in the space. Um, we just want to say about all the things that you talked about. Our world is in turmoil right now. When every time we can turn around, people are being murdered and killed by vigilantes, by these automatic weapons. I want to give a moment of silence for the family of Jordan Newley, the young man that was choked on the subway in New York this past week. And not just for him, for all those who have been slain with these automatic weapons. His murder at the hand of Daniel Penny was captured live. This is a new lynching. Our people are still being lynched. So all the things that we spoke about in Gwinnett County, on top of that, social justice issues are coming through the roof. We need help in Gwinnett, volunteers to help us with these social justice issues. We already mentioned the slave beating at Louise Radloff. We have an account of a police shooting. We have all different types of complaints that are coming into us. Again, we are volunteers. So again, we need help. We do understand that when we're trying to operate at capacity, but are unable to do the work that needs to be done in the community, just because we do not have the capacity or those funds. So there's so many issues that we're trying to resolve. But again, we want to bite this elephant one bite at a time.
And I agree, and that's what I want you to understand. I do understand that you don't have the resources or the funds, and you walk this down. You get to where you are one step at a time, just as well as you eat the elephant one bite at a time. And that's what I think that you are trying to do, and that's what we all must do. We all must be of like mind, but we all must realize that we can, as they say, we can sing together, but we all can't talk together.
Excuse me a minute. If someone can mute their background again, we would appreciate it. Okay. And again, we thank you so much again for your time, your input, your thoughts.
Thank you all. And I want to just give another little shameless plug. Thursday, May 18th at the GJAC, there will be a town hall, and love to have all the listeners there to share their thoughts, realizing that we try to make state laws, not city laws, not county laws, but for all the citizens of Georgia. But we take into account what the people of Gwinnett are going through. So thank you again, and I'll look forward, and thank you for having this. And I look forward to being on any and every time, because as I tell the group, I'm glad to have Senator Merritt. I'm glad to have Representative Hutchinson. I'm glad to have Representative Clark. I can go on and on. Farouk. Okoye. It's great to have all of those with me in the house when it started out just me 11 years ago. So thank you.
Okay, thank you so much for your time. We thank you, and we do understand the different layers of government, but we just need those voices on each and every platform to speak up loud and clear. All these voices on all these different platforms, because right now our voices are being stifled as individual constituents in Gwinnett as African Americans. So we're looking to hold the officials accountable. That's the only other plan that we can have right now. And we know everybody will be able to stand this test because I know people are working hard and doing their best, and we know they're going to stand this test. So, but we thank you again, always, Mr. 100, even though you in 101. We thank
109. 109.
Excuse me, said 109. I was hoping you would say it. He's in
109.
Representative McClain is in House Seat 109 in Gwinnett, and of course he's still Mr. 100. And
I
he
keep it
talked
109.
and he and he was talking about GJAC. GJAC is the Gwinnett Justice and Administrative Center. Be there, meet all these people on May 18th. What time does this start?
It starts at 6 p.m.
If you send us a flyer, we will be happy.
I will send it. The flyers are going out. Flyers went out last night. I just put my www.deweymcclain.com in the which you can go to my website, and the flyers on there, as well as I'll make sure you get a flyer tonight. A press release went out today from the state. I've already gotten some calls from the Gwinnett Daily to say, they want to be part of it, which I said, you're the press, because I get concerns when you're in a public facility. All of our meetings should be open to the public. We shouldn't have nothing to hide.
All right. So we're going to finish off with some more announcements that are happening with the Gwinnett NAACP. Again, we're going to be doing voter engagement. We have municipal elections in 2023. So we will come out with a slate of the cities and the offices that will be elected. These people will be vetted and placed as qualified to run after August. This is a late process. So come look for that information after August 1st. With the incorporated cities, each does their own type of election with their own rules and responsibilities for those who need to vote. We hope to be a hub so that you can find this information in Gwinnett County. And we will be steadily working up until October 2nd, 2023. And we are looking for volunteers. We will be paying volunteers $20 an hour per our national and other units out there to help canvass, to call, to register people to vote, to do community engagement. Contact our secretary at secretary@naacpgwinnett.org. And moving along, because we're going to end this in a few minutes, we will have a July back to school giveaway, the end of July, that date to be announced. We did it last year, and the end of July, we gave away, with the help of our partners, allies, and friends, over 225 packed book bags to students in Gwinnett. Not just an empty book bag, but book bags with papers, pens, and all types of equipment needed to start off the school year. And also, we're going out because we want you to be informed about what we're doing. We're going to have our forums with the upcoming candidates for the municipal election. So look for that. Hopefully we can get some voter education information to tell about these different positions and then the different races, and even talk to some of the candidates that we think will be pivotal races that will affect the people in our communities. And last but not least, in December, we're looking to have our Freedom Fund banquet. So look out for all these things that are coming. Along with those things that we talked about, we've also last year distributed over 1,500 boxes of food to the community. This was in partnership with the Gwinnett County, and distributing to communities who were requesting the food. We work again, we show up at the Board of Education, we show up at the Board of Commissioners, we show up at the Board of Registration and Elections. Come out there, join us. We need people to hear what's going on. We need people to understand these processes so that we can inform and educate others. So I want to thank our executive committee. They've been here, they've been in the background. I want to thank our secretary. And let me, because I have to read. If I try to say everybody's name off the top of my head, that will not happen. So I want to thank our secretary, Melanie Thomas Cook, our treasurer, Princess Hawkins, our assistant treasurer, Asia Dolman, our legal redress chair, Thomas Reynolds, our member at large, Staten Winston, and our membership chair, Angela Whitlock. We're looking for new leaders. So on behalf of our executive committee, come and join us. Come help us. We are proud to be Gwinnett NAACP. I did not see any questions. I saw a couple of comments. Thank you, Regina Matthews, for your comment. Gareth Finley, for your comment. Thank you very much. Are there any comments from officers in the room? The floor is open. If not, then we will end this general meeting for the month of May in 2023. Let's have prayer. Heavenly Father, we thank you right now for your love and kindness towards us. We ask you to guide our feet, to guide our tongue. Father God, to help us to do the work of the beloved community as we look to and seek to end poverty, institutional racism, and militarism. It is by your help that we can succeed. We just look to you for the answers. We look to do your will, and all glory belongs to you. We thank you for each and every person who attended, who will be viewing this, and we just thank you tremendously, because we know that through you we can do exceedingly abundantly above all else that we could ask or think, according to the power that works in us. We bless your name. We thank you. To my God Jesus, I pray. Please pray to your God. Amen.
Amen.
Amen. And thank you for sharing this time with us this evening. Again, Senator Merritt, who has left, and to again, Representative McClain, we thank you. EC, thank you. Good night.